Okay, so now that you have your goal amount of money, I hope before you move on that you have followed these directions and that you've stopped and you have come see, like you've gone and checked this with a teacher to make sure you are good. If you haven't done that yet, stop this video and get that part done. I would hate for you to do all of this math that I'm about to show you and have it wrong because you started off wrong. So please stop the video if you need to. Okay, so moving on. What we're doing here isn't necessarily needed specifically in the presentation, but it's going to help us with what we do need in our presentation. So you will need to look up the definition of systems of equations, and we will also be working with that in class next week. And then what you find out about a system of equations is that there's at least two lines. And so in this case, there will be two lines. The first line that you're going to have, this is going to be your goal line. And so your goal is the same on day 1 of fundraising as it will be on the last day on day 10. Your goal isn't going to change. If it's not going to change, the rate of change is 0. The slope is 0. And so that's what, there you go. There's your slope. I just gave you an answer. And then what kind of line has a slope of 0? So talk about it or type it up. And then since your goal is the same on day 0, today, whatever day of fundraising as it is on day 10, what will be your beginning point? So what's going to be the beginning point? What's going to go on the y-intercept for your goal? Okay. Now that you know your M and your B, you're going to do what we've been doing for several weeks. Write your formula, your slope-intercept form, write that here, and then write it in your equation here. So you'll do your y equals mx plus b. Then now you have your first line equation done. So now let's think about the second line. This one is going to show how much you're going to need to raise per day. So how much money have you raised on day 0? Seriously, don't think about it hard because no one has raised any money yet. So your answer should be 0. So this answer will be 0 for everybody. And then how much money do you hope to have raised on day 10? Well, my goodness, if you have a goal, that should be your answer. On day 10, you hope you will have your goal amount of money. So that should go there. Now what I want you to do is I want you to translate that into a table that we would have been using in math class. So you have your answer to this one, you have your answer to this one. So you fill them out here too, so it looks more like a T-chart table that we use in math class. Now you're going to use your table to write the equation of the line. So think about the change in y over the change in x. How do you find your slope? And then your y-intercept, remember, is your beginning point. So what is your beginning point? And then you're going to use your y equals mx plus b that we have practiced several times. So after you've completed this table, it'll make finding your m and your b a lot easier for this line, and then you'll have your equation. So now you have two equations. You have your line 1, which you put right here. That's your line. Oops, I just messed that up. That's your line. Oh, goodness. That's your line 1. And then your line 2 was this one. So just copy down your two answers here. And then you're going to use Desmos and screenshot your graph. Or if you want to draw it on paper, I have graph paper. I even have this super awesome graph stamp that I can stamp on paper for you. And you can use that to graph. And then all you would need to do is take a picture and insert it into the slides. I do expect you to show your graph during your presentation next week. So heads up, whatever graph you use, I want to see it during your presentation. And then since you have two equations, that means you've graphed a system. And then I want you to think about how many solutions does that system have, and then what would be the solution. So you're going to answer that question. This is going to be all of the background information that you need to come up with your system of equations to then we will interpret for the presentation. So your line 1, line 2, and then graph it and find the solution. So I know that's a lot. Please let me know how I can help. Thanks.